My name is Pat Gilmore. I'm with the Leesburg Center for the Arts, and this is Virtual Coffee and Convos. I'm here today in Leesburg at Perfect Plants, and I'm going to be talking to Jonathan Squires, who is a wealth of information. We're really excited. We have no direction at all on this. We're just going to plop ourselves down. As I said, he's got so much information and so many stories and so many tips that you're going to get a lot out of this one. Okay, we'll be right back. He's coming in with a bottle of water, and we'll see where this Jonathan goes. Is here, and I want you to tell me, what is this business and what do you do here? And then we're going to go from section to section, and you're going to give us some tips about plants.
Well, basically in my career in horticulture, agriculture, and sustainable living, it was a time when I was 9 years old when Mother introduced me to the garden, and then we became best friends, Mother Nature and I. That's really about it. So after that, I went to the University of Florida, and I continued to go there, and I continued to study at Cornell, I continued to study at North Carolina, I continued to study at Maine University. All the people who know what real living is, basically. So, I mean, other than that, though, my plants are going to speak for themselves.
The plants are going to talk. I love it.
Yes,
I love
they
it.
will.
What are we standing right by right now?
These are the cold hardy avocados that I've been preaching for the past 10 years, but I did not want to start to introduce them up here until I found the right varieties. So this right here is your in front of us, Monroe. The one to the right there is the one they call Choquette, and the one to our left there is called the Lula. And Lula has been in Florida since 1915, so we know it works here. We just didn't know it worked well up here. But we found out with a lot of trial and error. I have them all the way into Gainesville, Ocklawaha, all the way over to Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Tampa, pretty much all over Florida. And they're working well. And you've probably eaten them in the stores and you just did not know it. And these are Florida avocados crossed in with Mexican avocados, giving them the cold hardiness.
Oh, that's interesting. So I lived out in California, and I had Haas avocados.
Absolutely.
They are very different, though, than what I eat down here. These are all thin-skinned and smooth.
Yeah, thin-skinned, and the oil content is not as dense. So I consider being jaded from Florida that ours are sweeter and creamier. But yes, they do have the Haas, which is a denser form, but it makes a great chutney, it makes a great salsa, it makes a great guacamole because of its density. These, Mother would say, if you put anything but salt on a Florida avocado, you can't come in the house. Mother was that adamant. That's how good we loved them. And we grew mangoes and avocados and guayaba and papaya, breadfruit, sapodillo. Everything grew in our yards, everything. So growing up with edible foods is what we did. So I did not want to bring anything up here until these trials were all over with. And now all of a sudden, it's hitting almost correctly at the time where everybody's thinking about this organic, healthy food forest, permaculture, all the aspects of just eating clean food. But what I'm trying to bring back absolutely is we bring it home. We bring it to your backyard. Instead of going to buy it, let's try to do it in your backyard.
Okay, Jonathan, where are we?
Yeah, we're in the garden, and we're just as if you were in your garden. So everybody thinks you have to go and dig up a 10 by 50 area and become this miracle farmer all of a sudden. My recommendation is not to do that, because you have a pretty busy life normally. You have children, you have families, and other aspects of your life, church involved, and cousins and uncles moving in and stuff like that, and all these wonderful things happen to you, but you want to eat clean. So this right here is a used pallet that I got right here behind one of the businesses, and there's 4 bricks. They cost $1.35 at Home Depot. So now I got a platform. So now I got this platform that's a 4x4. So now all we have to do is now put plants on the platform in containers. Why do I do that? As you know, you're a girl, you could sit here. Would you rather bend over and pull weeds all day long?
No.
Okay, would you rather go there and pick your fruit all day long off the ground?
No.
Right, so would you rather just walk up and just go just like this, and I'll hand you a tomato with no poisons on it.
Presents.
No poisons on it, you can eat it. Sorry.
Really good.
Right. So what you've done right there is called farm to fork, or in this case, hand to mouth.
Okay.
Right. But what was so nice about it, you lost none of the freshness of what the Creator has been trying to tell you this whole time, in anything in gardening. So when you have to buy lettuce or carrots, it's coming from California,
Yes.
which is about 3 to 4 to 5 days, depending rail, or if they bring it in by truck. So now you're getting lettuce that has been cut, harvested, usually going to sit for about 3 days in a cooler, then logistically it gets moved to somewhere in the United States. So now you're talking about anywhere from 7 to 12 days before you get that head of lettuce. You come back in the fall, let me take a leaf of lettuce off and give it to you right from the plant with no chemicals on it. You're going to see a really big difference in the water content. The water content, all the enzymes, all the wonderful stuff that's in there for you to put into your organic body, for your organic, and you're all going to be all working together really well.
I got a horror story for you.
Okay.
So I was living in Argentina, and I would come back to the United States every year to do my taxes and do art shows. At any rate, I had bought hearts of romaine. They were 3 to a package.
Yeah.
From a regular grocery store similar to a Winn-Dixie or a Publix. And they were left over when I left. And my best friend, who I would stay with, her boyfriend was over, and he says, Barbie, how old is this lettuce? She goes, that's pretty new. Pat bought that. Pat's been gone 4 months. There didn't look like there was any rot at all in that. And that was before all these big scares and calls for romaine lettuce being diseased. So,
Okay, well, a lot of that, what you're doing there too, is they have what they call freshness. They have freshness enzymes that they can actually put into your food to hold the freshness with it.
Right.
And most of it, believe it or not, is very safe for you. It's usually found in barks of trees. So you're drinking a lot of chemicals in like sodas right now. I will not touch sugar. I will not touch sugar. I wasn't just saying that. I will not.
No,
touch,
it's sparkling water.
no,
So.
I will not touch sugar due to the fact that as we age, our bodies cannot process the sugars. So now I only did xylitol and stevia. So the reason why that is because organically your body recognizes it. So when you process it from the regular sugar, because stevia stays the same compound, so, and xylitol is found in trees, so this is good for you. It's found to be very good for you because your body recognizes the organisms. But when you see something like the horror stories of the McDonald's hamburger found in the coat of the winter coat, and it still looked the same, that is true. And that's a processed system that we are, the FDA says it's okay. I'm not sure about you all, but that doesn't sound okay to me. So I said, I think I'm going to find a better way. So I have friends of mine that have grass-fed, grass-finished. There's the key word. Everybody says grass-fed. That's one element, but you want grass-finished. If you have a troughed animal and he's sitting there eating certain elements, they should be like corn and things like that.
Soy.
He's a four-legged piece of corn. That's it. Okay, but if you have an animal who is by the Creator put on this earth to do it function the way he does, eating meat is good. But here's my take on that. Meat as a treat. Do not use a lot of it. But as persons that need to have certain proteins, you're going to find it in plant-based foods. So I recommend the Plant Paradox is a good book to read.
Okay.
And also the Blue Zone diet. Because you're going to find that, again, they're the oldest people in the world. There's 5 places in the world that they went, National Geographic and Life went to. And they have found the Blue Zone diet where people live into their hundreds, right to the end, and physically walking to work and all this other good stuff. And guess how they're doing it? They're working out in their garden, keeping their mind correct, and they're working. They don't have to go to the gym. They're physically bending and dipping and walking. Remember, our bodies were made to do that.
My grandparents lived to 98,
Absolutely.
each one of them. We
Absolutely.
had a garden in the back. My grandmother took a walk at sunset
Absolutely.
and at sunrise every morning to the ocean.
What happened to those days?
I know, and hardly any medications were they on.
Absolutely.
But they ate fresh.
And Mother said that's exactly what Mother said this to me. I go, Mother, how is it that our family's able to live so long? She goes, we never ate out of a can. Simple statement. Simple statement. We never ate out of a can. So I'm going, So at 9 years age, this is being tooled into me. So when I walk into Mother Nature, I'm looking for answers in her forest where she lives. And I'm going to show you over across there in that forest over there. Do you see anybody arguing? Do you see any wars? Do you see anybody having a bad time? You see anybody getting kicked out of there?
Nope.
Well, how did they do it? I'm going to tell you, there's a language. It's a language that is spoken in the world that in Mother Nature, this language is so powerful. If we're able to harness Mother Nature's power and that language that she's speaking right now, we will become the world that we actually were intended to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move location. And I have to smell your basil. Oh. Okay, Jonathan, where are we now? These are tomatoes, obviously.
Right.
Tell me about growing. I want to grow my own food.
Yeah, that's a really simple thing. It's actually in your DNA, and that's why everybody's attracted to flowers and things and of that nature. Because back in the early days when we didn't have 7-Elevens or Walmarts or Publixes, we actually have a memory that's in our memory, in our DNA, that loves plants, and they love you. So I say they're part of the family. That's what I always say. So when I say when you're going to bring home, say, well, look, it didn't come with it. But now I'll say, like, say, if you want to bring home a tomato plant, and by the way, then let me touch on this right now. You can grow food year-round in all of Florida and all the United States. You just got to know what varieties and when.
Okay.
So it's a seasonal thing. Just like certain things in your life are seasonal, so plants have seasons too. So in Florida, my recommendation is past May, do not try to grow big tomatoes, just do cherries and grapes.
Okay.
And you'll do that year-round. Sweet potatoes are good. Okra, spineless would be good. Watermelons, corn, and sunflower. Those are the ones you're going to be able to do without ever spraying chemicals.
Jonathan, let me break in here because I tried tomatoes for the first time. This is a new area for me. I've been here 3 years.
Right.
And I got nice big plants, absolutely no fruit. And my friends were saying you put them in too late because I tried to start from seed inside.
Container.
Yeah, so these are ready to go in the ground.
Yeah, pretty much, but that's what I want to tell you. Okay, my background, I'm strongly in background entomology and pathology. I mean, I study it tremendously. And I love it because that's really the circle of living, okay? And then I throw in a little bit of eco to there, and before you know it, we're all growing. But what it is certain varieties, they hear these things about, I want to do the old varieties. Well, they're good, but you're going to end up spraying chemicals. So we really want to feed our family with high quality stuff. And people say, well, that's a GMO. And I go, no, ma'am, that's not a GMO, because they think that plants that are crossed in or cross-pollinated is GMO.
No, they're hybrids, right?
It's a hybrid. Just like you and I are hybrids. Did you know that?
Yeah, we're definitely hybrids.
Well, I think we're pretty good. And the girl over there running behind the camera, we're hybrids. And did you know that's a special thing, being a hybrid? Because you were picked out of, say, 980,000 little fish running to that egg. You were picked out, so you're a really cool hybrid, right? Okay, there you go. We have to high five these days. But at any rate, though, so being a hybrid, so this is my variety called the Johnny Boy. It's 25 years in the making.
Wow.
Right, because I crossed 3 different types of tomatoes together. So this is actually a cherry tomato with a real tomato taste. Not the sweet or the tart. It actually tastes like if you're eating a Better Boy or if you're eating a large beefsteak tomato. So people like that, and you can grow them year-round. But this gets water every day, constantly getting hammered by Mother Nature, and I don't spray it. Look at it, there's no fungals on it.
Beautiful.
Right, because I've taken all those bad guys out of there and became a hybridization that I could live with. And that's as simple as it is. And then I teach you to not do it in the ground, but do everything in containers.
Okay, so we're out here on Lewis Road, which is where the property is, and in the midst of filming, we looked across the road, and there's a leatherback turtle here. I'm crossing my fingers that Jonathan gets to him in time. Okay. Oh, my heart. And I guess it can take your finger off, so Jonathan went to get a shovel, and so we've got a little
Hopefully we'll be able
live on the news tonight. Turtle rescue. Jonathan says he smells the water, but he got a little disoriented. But getting him back beyond the fence.
Do not touch a turtle. Do exactly what I just did. It was simple as that, because if he bites you, you won't like it. I'm telling you. So never touch it. What we're trying to explain to people, because we have sped up lives, and we're not farmers. We're not, but we want to eat clean food. So you don't need to dig up the world. You just got to get containers, such as 5-gallon containers, or maybe a little bit bigger. You can come here in the fall and we actually show you. But let's just make it simple. We have a container that's 10 to 12 inches in length. It's a 5-gallon bucket. Maybe you get it from one of the restaurants that had pickles in it, because you want to use a food grade plastic.
Okay.
That's a good indicator of food grade plastic for the BPHs. But at any rate though, once you do that, you put your drill holes in them, just simple holes on the bottom, put an organic composted soil. What I mean by that, don't you have anything that's got meat in it. So all vegetative products. So you'll hear people talk about how you can use mushroom compost and how you can use worm tea. Well, let me give the biggest, simplest thing. If you make your own compost, believe me, those worms will come, and that is your provider, because what they ingest and then the output is your food for her. So once a tomato, like you were saying, you had large tomatoes, but you had no fruit on it, most likely it was high in nitrogen. So once it gets to this right here, zero the nitrogen out and just go phosphorus, potassium. What I mean by that is banana peels, coffee grinds, calcium from the eggshells that you grind up. Put them in a blender that you could use, that you bought in a flea market or your old blender. Emulsify all that, you're advancing the process of compost, and that's going to be your food. And use a fish emulsion. I happen to be prejudiced because my friend makes it over here in Indian River fish emulsion right here in Indian River, Florida. But you can get Alaskan fish emulsion. And if you notice, it's low nitrogen, low phosphorus, low potassium. So that's what you got to remember. And gardening is that simple. And take records. And if you name her Allison or June, or if you want to call it Beetlejuice, whatever you want to call your plant, become one with her. She'll recognize that vibration I spoke to that lives in the woods. She knows that you love her, and guarantee she'll help you along the way if you do that this way and this way.
So talking to your plants does make a difference.
It actually does. I mean, you don't want to go out loud with it when you're in a neighbor situation, because they might come and get you with the white jackets. But if you wish to go out there and sing to your plants, believe it or not, that vibration is true, because we've proven vibration is true in the Serengeti in Africa. They literally put speakers out and just put Beethoven. They put all all those beautiful musics that they made back in the 1400s and 1300s. That music that they made, they put it in the Serengeti, and all the animals came in towards this, and they were all living happily. Why is that? It was a vibration they knew. So we know that vibration that lives in Mother Nature is the answer. Trying to harness that and explain that and make you live with it is all these things that we're trying to figure out for you guys. And that's what it is. But I'm going to tell you, it starts as simple as a tomato plant in your backyard and naming her. As you've seen from our wonderful cameraman, she had taken a still shot of the small mandevillas. Now right now, as you can see from that small 4-inch mandevillas, they turn into a 10-inch, 36-inch mandevilla ready for your garden. And mandevillas are a beautiful plant that is a super attractor to all the beneficial insects. And I like to touch on that. Beneficial insects means if you have a lot of beneficial insects and you have bad insects, they'll overpower them. What that means is Mother Nature working again. IPM, Integrated Pest Management. So put plants in your yard that attract insects, not good or bad, just insects in general, and then they will work it out in their world.
Really?
They will work it out. Believe me, they will work it out. And that's how it got created. Think about years ago when you were a young girl, when you had a garden, did you always spray a lot of chemicals? Did you have a lot of chemicals? Now how'd that happen? And all of a sudden we're spraying chemicals now. Here, that I'm going to tell you, and I tell everybody about this, and why, is because we are a commercial monoculture, meaning growing corn for 6,000 acres or potatoes for 9,000 acres. When you do that, then you get the bad bug going, oh my God, this is a whole mecca area, and I'm going to dive in right here. Then they're colonizing, so the farmer can't go out there and go, oh, that's a bad bug, oh, that's a bad bug. He's got 6,000 acres.
Oh, wow.
So here comes the chemical coming to the rescue, right? And they had these crop dusters and all those things that happened in this 40s, 50s, and 60s that kept us alive all the way through World War I, II, and III, and to this day. But the problem with that is that when you continue to do that, you'll have residual effect, and that builds up in our soils, and then we end up ingesting it. So that's the fast story. Here's the easy story. Here's the really easy story. You have a piece of land that you call home. This little piece of land that you call home that I showed you back there with the 4 cinder blocks and the reclaimed grate, and then you have your plants. Say like you have a family of 3, and then you have 2 peppers, 2 tomatoes, 1 arugula, 2 say basil, and say a small thyme. The reason why I'm telling you that, because that's called supplement farming, because you are not a farmer. You might be an electronic person, you might be a person who skydives for you, you might be a professional fisherman, you might be a person that does beautiful videos like this, and you don't have time to do gardening.
No.
Right, so you supplement gardening, and then you let the farmer do his job, because if we continue telling the farmer that he's not doing a good job, let me tell you something. Farmers only get paid on the high end, look this up, on the high end, $78,000 a year. He works 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's a tough job.
Jonathan walked me over to these elephant ears. These are just great. I've seen some of these that get absolutely enormous.
Yes, yes. And
Are these a waterish plant?
Yeah, they can take water. Yeah, they're very versatile. They'll hang out at a large of an edge of a hammock. They'll hang out where there's water, boggy area. They'll grow in full sun or shade. They're so versatile. We're using these now is because I've been working, or excuse me, not working with NASA, but doing a lot of research through NASA. And what we're doing is that we're using these as clean air plants. What that means is we have in Florida, when this rain comes up, there's a lot of black mold that's inside houses people don't know about. So look that up. Look up NASA clean air plants. This is a good thing. And they recommend 14 to 18 plants in 2,200 square feet. Plus, I got another little thing for you.
So inside the house?
Absolutely. Put them in your bathroom, your kitchen, your foyer, your living room, down the pathway, anywhere you got bright light. And why is that? Because when it starts to clean the area of all the bad formaldehydes and things like that, when you look up NASA, we'll get more scientific with you.
Right.
But this is what happens. But what's nice about that, we're finding out, if plants are around you, it brings your cortisol levels lower. And you don't even realize, what you're doing, but she's helping you be calm. Yeah. And that's what's so cool about that. So Sansevieria, mother-in-law's tongue, Anthurium, Spathiphyllum, the beautiful alocasias, which we'll show all those if you come back, and we'll do another episode on clean air plants.
Okay.
And you will see that a lot of people love those, and I'm telling you, it does a lot for this if you have plants inside your home.
Jonathan, this has been fantastic. I actually want to look around when we finish filming and seeing what I can bring home. For people that are afraid about COVID and want to do shopping,
well, I mean,
just like
since the beginning, we have a circular driveway. We have a huge piece of property here, and when in the beginning of it, about a month into it, people were really scared of coming out. So I did a basic video, because I didn't even know what I was actually processing here in the early days, but that's to show you how the Creator heads you in directions you don't even know you're going, but all of a sudden it's there. And it was called, and I entitled it, If You Come As You Are, Shop From Your Car, Pay From Your Car. Meaning you never have to leave the safety of your car. You will point to the plant through the car. I'll show it up. You'll say, what is that? I'll say, that's a hibiscus. And you say, okay, fine, put that in the trunk, and we'll move around the nursery. Finally, we'll get to a certain location right there, and you'll see 2 barrels. You roll your window down, put your card into a little bowl. I take the card, swipe the card, wipe the card back off. You move up 10 feet. I put it back into another bowl. You take that. I send the receipt to your email from my phone. We never have contact, and it's that safe. So I always said that I was pretty much the safest nursery in Florida that I know of. So I mean, it's possible that someone else might be doing it. But
that's fantastic. You keep that all safe. Plus, they're bringing home something that can heal their heart. And biology.
Absolutely, biology. That's biology, big time.
Okay, I know you have a Facebook page. What is it, and what is your website?
I have a personal page, which I'd like for you to follow my personal page, which is Jonathan Squires on Facebook. And then if you want to see my face, because I usually have a face picture, but you'll see that one, because there's other Jonathan Squires in the world. Well, but I'm just letting you know that. But I'm from Leesburg, Florida, and Just Perfect Plants, that's plural, and then that will also pop up, and you'll see how my life parallels and hooks together from my personal life to my business and to what I do out and about to help people and what's going on.
This has been fascinating, and I can stay here all day, but the sun is getting high.
Yes, it is getting hot.
And this is going to be very long to edit. So
yes, it is.
We'll just keep coming back. How's that?
Fun. Or
good
maybe
for me.
maybe after this whole thing is done, we'll have a little shop, a little.
We'll do a coffee and convos where we can meet in person, and you can bring the things that you told me that you bring up.
Yes, and I will show you live and how simple it is to do what I'm telling you to feed your family clean food.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.